Chris Cillizza. This is the Fix Hangout. This is night number 4 of Fix Hangouts, but night number 3 of the convention, the big night. This is the night where Mitt Romney accepts the Republican presidential nomination, although he is already formally the nominee due to the roll call vote. Is a big speech for him. Marco Rubio is speaking. So we've got another big night, probably the biggest night of Mitt Romney's political career, maybe of his life. And we have a wonderful group of people here to help me talk about it. Starting with my right-hand man, literally and figuratively, Aaron Blake, who you may know, he does wonderful work on the Fix blog. We have, I want to go from my right to left, we have Chad LaForge in Columbia, Missouri. Chad, thanks for joining us. We have Ed O'Keefe, who is back in Washington. I recognize that newsroom like the back of my hand. Ed O'Keefe, who covers Congress and writes a wonderful blog called Two Chambers. We have the chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Congresswoman, are you with us? I just want to make sure.
I am with you.
Okay, cool.
Great
Hold on. Hang tight for 1 second. And we have Keli Goff. I always want to make sure I pronounce things right. When your last name is Cillizza, you always want to pronounce things right. Who is a correspondent for The Root. Congresswoman, I want to start, first of all, thank you. I know you're busy down here. I want to start with you, and then I'm going to let everybody else jump in and ask you questions too, but I want to take a few off the top. I want to start with, I saw something that you said earlier today. It's drawn, among conservatives, it's drawn a lot of chatter. This idea that the Republicans continuing the convention while we had a tropical storm and then a hurricane moving through the Gulf Coast was another example. And I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting you exactly, I'm paraphrasing their kind of win at all cost mentality. Is that fair? Is that not over the line? Do you stand by that?
Well, what I said was that the Republicans were to be commended for recognizing that safety needed to come first, and they canceled their first day. And that was what I said at the beginning of this week. It's what I said earlier today. And also made a comment that related to their programming that I thought they could have been more muted. But more shouldn't be made out of it than that.
Fair enough. Let me ask you about Paul Ryan. This is someone who you serve with. This is someone who, and we'll move to Mitt Romney, but Paul Ryan is generating a huge amount of chatter today with his speech. This is someone you serve with, probably someone you don't agree with all that much either in the House or now as him as the vice presidential nominee. Do you believe, because I've been pilloried for saying he didn't lie, he just left out some facts, do you believe Paul Ryan lied last night to the convention audience and the people watching at home? And what specifically did he lie about, if you believe he did?
Well, I think he lied as well as mischaracterized, distorted. I mean, you can use all of those terms for the speech that Paul Ryan gave last night. To actually say, to lie and say that President Obama was responsible for the closing of that auto plant in Janesville when he knows good and well that that plant closed when President Bush was still in office and was slated to close. To then say that President Obama ignored the recommendations of the Simpson-Bowles Commission when he actually sat on the commission and voted against it. I mean, to then say that President Obama cut Medicare by $716 billion and benefits for seniors, which is a complete lie, and leave out, conveniently, that his own, Romney and his budget, which, and I'm on the budget committee, Chris, as you know, so I've had a front row seat for the Ryan version of budgeting, to leave out that his own budget took those same $716 billion in savings is an example of essentially what was a fact-free speech last night, and one that lied, mischaracterized, and deliberately distorted the facts to serve their own ends, which is ultimately that they care about one job, Barack Obama's, rather than creating jobs and getting this economy turned around and working with this president. Let
me ask you one other thing. I'll take personal privilege to ask you one more, and then I'll open it up and let other folks ask you. We're in Florida. You represent southern Florida, but still Florida. The Republicans put the convention here for a reason. They know they need this state. This is a state that obviously Barack Obama won in 2008, but it's a state that George Bush won in 2004. It's been I believe we may have had a slight technical problem. I think it will come back up shortly if memory serves. So everyone just hang on for one moment. And Voila, Congresswoman. I'm sorry. I wanted to throw you off a little bit. Yeah, you know what I look like, but it's probably they thought it might do
We're
better.
Nimble here, no problem.
They might thought it'd do better for ratings if my face wasn't actually on screen. The question here is Florida a swing state? Is this a place that Barack Obama is going to struggle to win? Is this a place where you think Barack Obama is favored, and why? Because obviously in 2008 he won it. 52 or 53%, but it is not a state that has been terribly friendly to Democrats at the presidential level beyond that election.
Well, absolutely, Florida is the most significant battleground state, and we know that in what will be a close election, it will be close here in Florida as well. But President Obama is ahead in Florida for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is when it comes to their economic policies. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan have embraced an extreme, really failed policy that says to the middle class, we're going to increase your taxes to pay for budget-busting tax breaks for the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans. We're going to make sure that, we don't care about keeping you in your homes. We've had a challenging problem with housing in this state. Mitt Romney's comment that we should just let the housing market hit rock bottom and let investors come in and buy up the properties and do nothing to help people remain in their homes who are upside down. Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan's plan to turn Medicare into a voucher system and shred the health care safety net for seniors. The cuts to education and health care in their budget, it's really so many, the really outrageous extreme immigration policy that they've embraced. It all adds up to what I expect will be another win for President Obama in Florida, because Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan are so outrageously out of touch with the priorities of Florida voters.
Now, let me open it up. Aaron, Ed, Keli, feel free. Go ahead, Aaron. Why don't you start us off? Go ahead. You've got the Congresswoman.
Congresswoman, you were an unwitting participant in the festivities last night on stage at the Republican
so I hear.
convention. I don't know, for people who didn't watch it, Mike Huckabee cracked a joke about, I believe, hearing your voice on a TV in the neighboring room. I wanted to see if you had any response to that particular joke.
Well, I didn't hear it until it was replayed for me earlier today. I think Mike Huckabee making a comment about my voice and it's somehow being offensive to his ears shows that Mike Huckabee really is unfamiliar with the voice of a strong woman. And that's reflective and probably explains why he has embraced and supported Todd Akin when so many leaders have condemned Todd Akin's comments that were outrageous when it came to saying that there was something called legitimate rape and that women couldn't get pregnant, and the outrageous comments that Todd Akin made. So I think Mike Huckabee's comments sort of speak for themselves.
I would actually go a step further and say that perhaps Governor Huckabee has never heard Governor Romney sing, if he if he has sensitive ears. But I am going to ask a follow-up question, since you referenced Todd Akin, everyone's favorite soundbite maker for the last month or so, last couple of weeks. I know that there are polls showing that the gap with women voters that President Obama has had consistently for the last year is actually tightening. He still has a double-digit lead in swing states, but it's actually smaller than it was. Which seems a bit surprising considering the war on women and how much coverage that's gotten the last year. Why do you think those numbers are tightening, and why isn't the president holding the dominant lead with women that I think a lot of people anticipated he would?
Oh, I think he is holding a dominant lead with women,
but it's
Keli,
shrinking. But it is shrinking, well, Congresswoman.
It's a double-digit lead for
12 points and 9 points. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No, that's all right. That's all right. And President Obama is going to win the overwhelming majority and will maintain a double-digit lead among women because Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan have embraced extreme policies who have, whether it's the economy and Mitt Romney not even being willing to say that he would have signed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which President Obama signed as his first bill to ensure that women have equal pay for equal work. The extreme policies on women's health that Romney and Ryan have embraced when it comes to a woman making her own reproductive choices or being able to decide when and how to plan a family. His embrace of the constitutional amendment in their platform, which says that we would ban all abortion in the Constitution of the United States, with no exception for rape, incest, or the life of the mother. So, I mean, there are countless examples of how out of touch Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan are with, and quite frankly, the Tea Party extremists in the Congress that are Republicans, that are out of touch dramatically with the priorities of women, and which are why they will not win women and will lose the election as a result of President Obama being carried back to the White House on the shoulders of women.
Congresswoman, if you don't mind, you touched on equal pay for women. How do you respond to the charge that President Obama's own cabinet underpays women as compared to men?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that accusation, and I don't think that's accurate. The analysis that I've seen is that in President Obama's White House, he has made sure that there is equality for, that he lives what he talks, and unfortunately the Republicans don't do that, and that women in comparable jobs as men are paid equally.
Is there any data supporting Republicans not paying women equally? Sorry to cut you off, Ed.
No, I was referring to their overwhelming opposition to the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, and making sure that there can actually be some accountability in the law that says that a woman should be paid the same as a man, and should actually be able to ensure that when she discovers, as Lilly Ledbetter did, that her employer is not paying her the same as a man doing the same work, that she can fight for that equal pay. And Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan voted against that bill when it came up in the Congress, as did the overwhelming majority of Republicans. So it's very clear where they are on equal pay.
Ed, do you want to
They don't want to make sure it can actually happen.
I did, because I had a follow-up question to what Aaron was asking, Congresswoman, and thanks again for doing
Sure.
this. We appreciate it.
No problem.
But there was a report in that other publication that rhymes with the word ridiculo that suggested you had seen some data from the Chicago headquarters of the Obama campaign that suggested you were the least effective or the least liked Obama campaign surrogate. And I'm just curious, A, is that true? And B, what was your reaction when you saw that data?
No, it's not true. In fact, I didn't read the electronic publication that came out from that other publication, but from the clips that I did see, it read more like a National Enquirer story and had about as much credibility, from what I know to be the case. I've been proud to be an important member of the leadership team politically on the campaign. President Obama asked me 16 months ago to watch his back, bring him across the finish line, and chair the Democratic National Committee. And, I'm proud to have been asked.
Oh, the Congresswoman's proud to have been asked, but we think normally these things come back. It's like your TV and losing power.
If you look at my actual surrogate work, I'm out there. I don't know how I could be out there more. It would be hard.
It would be. I actually, Congressman, I agree with that. I don't know. You don't have all that much time to. Do you? When you're you're basically on TV all the time, so it's
Quite a bit.
I was struck by that too. Can I ask you? I want to ask you one question, then we'll end. And I do want to echo Ed and thank you. And I also want to thank everybody else for joining us. But I also want to especially thank Chad LaForge joining us, taking time out of his day. He is not being paid to do this. He just is interested in politics and is doing this. So thank you, Chad, in Columbia, Missouri. But Congresswoman, I want to end on this, which is, if you feel as passionately as you do that the direction of the country under Mitt Romney would be bad for women, just bad broadly, what I'm wondering, how do you analyze the polling that suggests that this race is something close to a dead heat? What does that tell you about where we are, if you believe as strongly as you do that the choice here is as stark as it is?
Well, I think there's no question that, as strongly as I feel that Mitt Romney would be bad for this country and would drag us back to policies that got us into a terrible economic mess, the country is still very divided. I mean, there's a whole lot of folks on one side, a whole lot of folks on the other, and then there's some folks in the middle who really we are going to be fighting to win over, to make sure that they understand that President Obama wants to continue to move us forward and continue to get this economy turned around. And so, we've been through a really rough time, and we have a very polarized, sadly, political process right now. And so I think that really is understandable that this is going to be a close election. Our last few presidential elections have been pretty darn close.
Yeah, true. I think
a lot at stake.
2008 is probably the anomaly there. I think this one, in terms of
Yeah.
closeness, looks more like 2004. Anyway, you were busy. I'm sure you have to go do another television appearance. Thank you for making time for Web TV. Congressman W. Wasserman Schultz. I want to also thank
welcome.
here with me Aaron Blake, Ed O'Keefe, Keli Goff, and especially Chad LaForge. Chad, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you taking time